Well, it is the right day today, you know, Linda. Living up here in the mountains, you lose track of everything. It could be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Elizabeth is away. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty much here doing my own thing, and I get up, I work, I go to bed when I want to work. The only time I go out is if I need to do a bit of shopping, but everything is rolling into one. So I was a bit concerned if I had the right day today or not. So I had to double check.
You do have the
I had to double check everything.
right
But
day. And last week, Mike, I was here by myself because Tashi was with her dad and the cat was out on my bed asleep. But this week I've got major disruptions because of what I did for Tashi for Christmas. So I'd like to show everybody. Here's my cat Mary.
uh-huh.
Here's Mary. So I found this ad online
Yeah.
and it said, take a photo of your cat and you can upload it on a pair of socks. So there's Mary's head on a pair of socks that I got for Tashi. So there's Mary, everybody. Okay, there's Mary. Not amused.
No,
There she goes. Not amused.
not amused.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll let her go because, oh my God, it's so hot. All right. Yeah, Tashi wanted me to show Mary. Okay. You'll never see Tashi on air because I don't show her face out of privacy. Okay. But she's off air and she said, Mum, put Mary on the screen. So, yeah, I did. All right. So it is funny that Christmas, it is the silly season, guys. You know, we've got to stay sane in an insane world. People are going crazy. They're doing things that they don't normally do, I hope, anyway. And the most important thing that we can ever remember is, as long as we stay true to who we are, as long as we held up our own integrity, as long as we respect our own decisions, executive decisions, and our own free will, that's what counts to us ultimately. And, you know, people at this time of year, they're going to, Sari just said I'm babysitting a cat. And she's also asked how your cat is, darling.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, guys, just be yourself. Let yourself shine. That's the main thing that any of us can ever do. Because at the end of the day, there's so much lies and deceit now coming out.
Oh.
And you don't really, yeah, have you noticed how much lies and deceit are now coming out? You know, the ones who don't know now, man, I feel so sorry for them. As an empathic, sympathetic person, you know, and I think it's got to do a lot with they know that they've been lied to, but they can't accept it because of cognitive dissonance is a one, but they just don't want to acknowledge it and say, oops, I made the mistake, because that's why there's so many people now wanting to blame everybody else for what they've done.
Yeah.
Have you noticed it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's go there. Mike, how is Becky going? Is she all right?
Yeah. She is still in distress. She is still anxious and nervous, but sometimes she's fine. You know, I actually stepped over her the other day without her freaking out, and sometimes she eats from my hand. She walks outside with her towel out. She seems to perk up in the afternoon. She's asleep upstairs under the bed right now. So's the other one. I'm not too bothered about that because I use Bella as the benchmark. She's still eating, and you know, God bless the vet. He said to me, look, I'm closed today. He said, but if you can get her in the carrier at any time, I live around the corner and I'll come in and look at her. And I thought, well, you know, that I'm going to go and bring him a bottle of wine and chocolates just for saying that, you know.
Yeah.
He really,
True.
and I said to him, because all the tests came back negative from her poop. She's got no salmonella, parasite, I think. So he said, no, I don't need to do x-rays. He said, I can feel the body to see if anything's wrong. But he said this, he said, is she eating? I said, yeah. Is she pooping? I said, yeah. Still mushy, but pooping. Is she losing weight? No. He said, well, then there's not much wrong with her. So,
that's right.
but I will bring her in at some point when she's a little bit more settled. But I tell you what, I did notice. A lot of the cats around here have gone ape shit. So I don't know what they've done here. I know the building
Could
work.
it be something? Could it be something coming out of the airplanes, or
That something's happened. I don't know if they cranked up.
some sort of EMF type thing
Yeah,
going on, 5G thing, or something like that?
Becky is
You know?
very sensitive. Bello just strolls. A nuclear bomb can go off with Bello, and he'll just stroll around. You know, it reminds me of that guy in Apocalypse Now. You know, the general. He's on the beach and he says, you can't beat the smell of napalm first thing in the morning, and bombs are going off
Yeah,
all around. He's just there smoking. Nothing happens to him, and that's the same as Bello. But Becky, my neighbour's cat, and my other neighbour's cat have trauma, but it only lasts 2 or 3 days, and then they go back to
yeah.
normal. So something is going on. So
Well, Sari's asking, his neighbour got a dog? Could
right,
somebody have a dog or
yeah,
gotten a new dog
yeah.
that could be upsetting the
The
cat?
next door neighbour's got a new dog, but they had building work there, and that was her territory. Then
Yeah,
the path opposite, he's built a new place. That was her territory. So she's seen her territory diminish. But
yeah,
Sari says they go quiet when I mention that we all have the ability to make our own choice. She also says, do you
yeah.
use homeopathy? There is a mix of, I can't read that word, and chamomile may calm her down. Yeah, actually, yeah, we give her some stuff to calm her down, but I want her less calm. I want her more excited again. But it's a good point.
Yeah.
Then it could be the neighbour's dog, but I think it's more to do with something electronic and territory being destroyed. So
Yes.
my Healy was trying to be delivered yesterday, my Healy machine, because when
Yep.
we had the Healy on and the frequencies on Saturday and Sunday, she was just like her old self.
Wow.
So I suggest there's something in the field that's affecting her, and since she's
Oh, yeah.
sensitive, it's affecting her a lot, and it's affecting the field of humans as well. So
Absolutely,
yeah,
Mark. You know, I have my moments where I just feel this inundation of bad, negative coming at me.
yeah,
And I just put up my Captain America shield. You know, I pretend that I'm holding Captain America's shield.
yeah,
And I just put that on and I say, wherever you're coming to me from, you must return back to where you're
yeah,
from tenfold.
yeah,
You know, I don't care if it's tenfold, because if they're nasty, I don't want that on me. So I send it back to them tenfold like heaven does. And generally that stops it, because I believe and I only have to do that, because as soon as I do that, I'm pretending that I'm carrying Captain America's shield. And the other one I do is this, which is Wonder Woman's bracelets. You know, if there's energy coming to me, I do this, which casts it backwards at them. So, you know, I've seen it in the
yeah,
movies. I know it's not real, but in my brain, because I've seen it, my brain does believe that it does do it.
yeah,
So, of course, I can create it into my own reality and cast this energy back to where it goes. So, you know, we've just got to be more aware of energies coming in from external sources and forces, because sources and forces are two different things.
mm,
And, you know, ultimately just remember that our own energy will always prevail in our space.
yeah.
You know, nothing
Mm,
else can ever overtake us.
mm.
So, yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
you
that's
know,
enough for me talking.
yeah, and I spoke about this in the channeled message. If you go to YouTube, Jan channeled a message on the 21st for bringing in the light. And
Yeah.
this is exactly it. Our light can only be diminished. It can't be destroyed. And it's diminished by our own choice.
Yeah.
But already I can foresee a better year this year. I mean, they're going to try and push, but
Oh,
I
darling,
don't want to go there too
look at
much.
China.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but, you know, in Austria, you may not know what's going on in China. Americans may not know what's going on with China, because, hello, China owns about a quarter of Australia. The CCP, Chinese Communist Party, right? It's common. It's out there. Go research it. CCP in Australia. It comes up Darwin, Adelaide, and all these other places. So it's all in the media. But China and Taiwan are right now not going very well.
No.
There's a little bit of a conflict there, okay? And guess what they've now done? China has now got this huge influx of positive cases. Interesting timing, that.
As they say, what's that I smell? Well,
napalm in the morning.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, you know.
Yes. So it's all interesting what's going on. It's all a game, guys. Research these 3 words: problem, reaction, solution. Okay?
Yeah.
They have something that they want fixed, or they want to spend their money on something. So they create a problem, so then they have to use the solution is using it. So you think about that procedure that a lot of people had.
Yeah.
They want to get that out there. Yeah?
Yeah.
They want to get it out there. So they have to create a problem so everybody will line up for it.
Yeah.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Solution
was everybody got it.
Before we get on with the first thing, Sari wrote, I heard the Chinese government will fail and people will have freedoms that they've not had in 100 years. Well, Sari, Jean told me that that Chinese government's already failed de facto. It's done. They are struggling to control and keep things together. I was also told the banks have failed. They've got no money. This is why we've taken all our money out of the banks. And actually, I'm not one for digital currency, but I tell you what, a couple of my friends and my wife soon, they're going to be cashing in on digital currency that is not linked to the reserve, the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
It's totally independent.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'll just go there, Mike. I'm going out next week to look for a new phone. Okay?
Right.
Look at my case. Look, this is just the beginning of my woes with my phone. Okay? Look at my case, guys. It is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you can see all the cracks on the... Maybe if I just pull up the screen. Look, it's all broken around the edges. Oh, there's all my notifications coming up. But it's pretty well had it. So I'm going out next week when Tasha goes back to her dad, and I'm going to go search around for a new phone.
You're going to splash the cash.
This is only an iPhone. Oh, sorry?
You're going to splash the cash, as we say.
I wish I had the cash to splash, darling. Okay? But I'm going to do it. I've got to bite the bullet because I want a phone so that I can just go do videos at the park and upload them straight to YouTube.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I can sit in my backyard so I don't have to take out my laptop, okay? Yeah. So I can do a lot of stuff then on my phone, okay? So I've got to just bite that bullet and go do it. But, well, I don't know where I was just going to go with my new phone then, but, we're talking, I've just lost my train of thought, sorry. With, things, that's right. I'm not going with the normal people here in Australia who have phone and internet services. Yeah. I'm actually looking at Elon Musk's Skylink. They're here in Australia. I know.
Get thee behind me, Satan.
I know.
You don't want to encourage that.
I hear you. But we've got to remember here, Mike, this is pretty much inevitable. We can't just switch this off unless we all stand up. And I've got to go back to what my great-great-great-great-grandmother said to me when I died. In 2001, she told me, there will be wolves dressed as sheep, and there will be sheep dressed as wolves. And in order to survive, you must be the wolf in the sheep's clothing. She told me that 21 years ago. And I now understand it. I've got to act like I'm following along, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Linda, let's get on.
There's now legislation in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, you
Okay.
froze there.
All right. Well, if anyone wants that information about New Zealand, come and email me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Let's go.
no open door news today. Let's get straight on with our ghosts doing mysterious things in hospitals. Here we go. Let's run.
Alex Bulnes Hospital in Santiago, Chile, was uploaded to the Instagram account Paranormal Carlos Martinez for all to see. While initially it looks like the patient is having a panic attack, at one point it looks like his leg gets dragged by some sort of unseen force. Here it is in slow motion. The nurse on call comes to the aid of the patient, and the clip abruptly ends. Sanatorio Finiquieto, a private medical clinic in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The eerie encounter took place on the 11th of November at 3:26 a.m. At the beginning of the clip, you can see the door open, but no one comes into the building. The security guard stands up and checks his clipboard as though preparing for someone to enter the facility. He releases the band at the checkpoint, then appears to chat with someone as though a normal person were entering the building. He makes a few gestures as though directing the person further into the facility. He then appears to offer a wheelchair to the invisible presence. A spokesperson for the healthcare provider said that they had already logged the main entrance door as malfunctioning, stating that it had opened by itself 28 times in the span of 10 hours. However, they found the security guard's behaviour a little harder to explain. They said that the guard appears to write something onto the register, but no names were recorded in the system during that period. A rumour proliferated that the guard wrote the name of a patient who had died the day before, but this claim is yet unsubstantiated. After the clip went viral, two main theories prevailed. The first being that the guard might be playing a prank on his colleague in the security office who would have been watching the video feed during the night. It's possible he just acted the whole scenario out to spook his workmates during a slow night shift. The second theory, however, is a little more chilling. This theory suggests that the guard did indeed see someone come into the building and that he was interacting with a patient that had died the previous day.
That caught me on the op. Let me see now. No, you fire away, Linda. Go on.
All right. Well, let's just start with the man in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I've been in hospital in not good shape where I've had convulsions and other things due to my event, okay, back in 2001. And I've also seen people in hospitals where they do that sort of stuff just from muscle spasms because of what they're going through.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to be the person to say, oh, he's using illicit materials at all, and that could be causing it. But with my time with the police, you know, I was at a police station every day for 10 years, you would see people coming in who have these same sort of events because they're intoxicated, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay? So I've got a feeling that he was having some sort of medical, or should I say medicine, whether it's legal or not, some sort of reaction. So I don't know if that's, so it could be someone pulling him out of the bed, but it's also very similar to what I've seen because, you know, the normal person, Mike, we don't see what goes on in hospitals, okay? You know, you go and see someone and they're always nice and sedate, or, you know, but we don't see them in the throes of convulsions and all that sort of stuff because they close the doors on all that, so no one really does see it. But it does occur. You know, I've got so many scars on me from where I convulsed when I was in hospital myself. So I've got a feeling that that one wasn't paranormal at all. That was just him rolling around and falling out of bed. That's what I actually think. Because it's like, no, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I don't want to be in hospital type thing. Because, a lot of people don't want to go to hospital.
And we don't actually know if he's in a psychiatric ward.
That's right.
And
because there's no audio to hear what he was saying.
And also, it is quite easy to throw your body over like that. That could it?
Absolutely.
So yeah, again, we'd need more information to find if it was paranormal.
If he was levitating at the same time, because I've seen levitations where they're throwing around, they're in that like convulsion and they start levitating and then they go 3 foot off the bed. That would be making me have more interest in this case, because I have seen footage out there, because it does exist and it is real. Entity attachment type stuff. Okay. So there are, you know, better, I can't say it's better footage, but there are more
authentic, genuine,
well, more in the line of paranormal, you know, where you can't debunk it as being just a guy rolling around saying, I've had enough, I'm getting out of here. You know? But the security guard one,
a prank.
That's interesting.
A prank, a bored security guard having a prank, or...
Well, you've got to remember, he's sitting there, he's the only... Let's just go through what he would have been going through. Let's put ourselves in his perspective, right? He's sitting there, it's probably 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's thinking, oh, my God, I'm going to sleep. No, I'm not. I've got to stay awake. No, I'm going to sleep. No, I've got to stay awake. But then the doors start opening and closing, because he said that the doors open and close 28 times in the past 10 hours. So that's at least 2 or 3 times on average per hour. So when you break it down, it's every 20 minutes. So every 20 minutes, those doors were opening by themselves. I would be getting up and investigating every single one of them if I was a security guard. But he doesn't. He doesn't on this occasion. So it's like someone's walking in where he's talking to them, because you can see he's talking. He moves the rope and he directs them through, and he closes the rope after them. And he says, hey, do you want a wheelchair? And he gets them a wheelchair. I don't think that was a prank.
No.
Because they all knew that the doors were opening and closing that night. Anyone else that was there that night, even anyone else watching the footage after it, they would have said, oh, yeah, that's just him, you know, he could have done 10,000 different better things with the doors opening up than what he did. So I've actually got a feeling that one's real because of my own experiences in hospitals, because there are so many people walking around in hospitals. You know, as soon as I walk in, it's from the front of the front door to the elevators is like standing room only. That's why I don't like foyers at hospitals, because there's so many lost souls waiting to be picked up. You know, they go to hospital with a chest pain and they think, oh yeah, indigestion, I'll get a pill, I'll go home. But they end up dying from a heart attack, and they're there. Well, where did my wife go? Where's my beautiful wife? She was here 10 minutes ago. I'll just sit here. I'll just got my suitcase. I've got my coat on. I'm going to sit here and wait. So every time someone comes through the door, they watch. Is that my wife? No. Okay. Is that my wife? No. Is that my wife? And they'll keep doing that until they realise that they're not really alive anymore. So it is sad, Mike. You know, but hospitals are really, really not a good place for me to go when I'm in a bad mood. You know, because there's just so many souls there that I try and help generally. You know, I always love going to ICU, because there's a lot of them that hang around ICU. Oh my gosh.
Of course, you know, it's also true that, you know, like me and you could be standing together and you would see the spirit or I would see the spirit and the other person wouldn't. So obviously the
Because they
video,
don't always appear to every single
no,
medium out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that would be really nice if it was a paranormal experience. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
James says, I hope that doesn't happen to me. Well, when you're spirit or you're the security guard, which,
Well, that's right, you know.
yeah,
But all you got to do, seriously, if you go to hospital and you're a bit freaked out thinking, oh my God, I'm going to see ghosts here today, all you got to do is say to them, please switch this off for the day.
yeah,
We don't realise how easy it is.
Yeah.
And please don't do that to me right now because I don't want it turned off.
Yeah.
See how I just told them don't turn mine off?
yeah,
It's people don't realise it is that easy to do.
Yeah.
As soon as we say, hey, I want to be a psychic medium, hey, I want to see them, please allow me to communicate for so I can use your work and I can help them, you know. But then people say, oh, I've got to help them to go through the white light. But no, that's actually the worst thing that we can do to like 98% of ghosts.
Yeah.
You never tell them to go through the white light because they don't know they're dead. And how traumatic is it to find out they're not going home to finish eating their dinner? They're not going to be there to take their kids to school tomorrow. So you can never say to a ghost, hey, do you know you're dead? Or, hey, go into the white light. Which, Mike, right now, come on, it's still Christmas. Who wants a copy of my ghost book where I explain all this?
There you go.
If you email me at Linda Rae, I've got my ghost book. It's on a PDF. If anyone wants my ghost book, email me right now. I'm feeling generous because it's Christmas time. Here is my email address. I'm just added it as a link. Email me and say, I'd love a copy of your ghost book. There's no obligation to buy it. I just love giving it away at Christmas. Okay? So it all explains what we can and can't say to ghosts, how to turn off how not to see them, etc.
Right.
So it is an educational book. Next week, Mike, just so people know, my spirit guide book will be out. So next week I'll be giving away copies of my spirit guide and life path book. Okay? So stay tuned. You've got to be live, guys. So get the word out. Come on live. So you hear, so you can email me and get a copy of my book. Okay? If you're not able to be here live, because hello, right now in America, it's about 3 a.m. over there. So obviously they may not be able to be online. So if you do watch this at a later date and you say, hey, I'm in America, I can't watch you because it's 3 a.m. for me, I'm happy to just send you over a free copy anyway. Okay? Yeah, so I'm excited that we've got another one. Renee Barr is on. Yay, how exciting. Thank you so much, Renee, for being here. Sari said, I will email. Good, I hope you do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love giving away my books for free because, you know, there are some people out there who are so deserving of what I do, you know?
Yeah.
So I want people to feel privileged. I want them to feel valuable. Most of all, I want them to feel treasured and adored just to be the person that they are. You know, I don't do this work for me. I've always done it for them. So I'm happy to give away free copies, you know. Yes.
Super.
Yeah. So if you want a free copy of any of my books, I've got my Heaven book, Psychic book, Ghost book, any of those you want, email me and just say, hey, send over my Heaven book or whatever. I'll just quickly show it, Mike. Here it is. If you want a copy of that one, it's 369 pages. It's only PDFs, guys. They're only PDFs that I send out. And next week I'll have my spirit guide book. Can't wait because it's got all my pictures of spirit guides. So then, if people want me to see what their spirit guides are, we do have to organise a session, and unfortunately, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, they have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there has to be a payment transfer because it takes a little bit to really keep talking to them.
Okay.
But I've got some amazing stories in this book about spirit guides coming through and what they've done for people. So it's good.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So let's go. Where are we going to next? Right?
On a sidestep, this young man couldn't wait to get back into a body again. This is the fascinating, absolutely, talk about detail here, memory of who he was before he came back into the body. The reincarnation of Sonny Rae. Let's have a look.
first words, he pointed to the watch and said, "Mine." On another occasion, when his parents called him by his name, he then pointed to himself and said, "Sonny." From that moment onwards, he insisted that his name was not Michael, but Sonny, and his parents eventually stopped calling him Michael and agreed to call him Sonny. As the months passed and his vocabulary started to improve, he said to his parents, "Me, Sonny Rae." His mother thought he was just joining up words and was forming the word Sonny Rae. However, agreeing to her son's insistence on being called Sonny, from that moment on she started to call her son "My little Sonny Rae." The surprises never stopped coming when one day he told his parents that he had a wife and her name was Dawn and they'd lived in Texas. The parents would normally listen to classical music, but on one occasion there was a country and western song playing on the radio, and to their utter amazement, he would not only sing along to the music, but he actually knew the words. On another occasion, he was sitting with his mother looking at a book that had pictures of dogs, and their son screamed out excitedly, "That's my dog Willie!" At this stage, the parents were starting to look at each other, wondering why their son was coming out with strange comments, with equally strange behaviour, but never for a second did they consider that he could be talking about living a previous life. But things got even weirder for the couple when their son was 7 years old, and they were running a seminar in Texas. It just so happens that one of the people that was to take part in the seminar was a woman called Dawn Rae. It was during the break that Michael's father took the opportunity to have a conversation with the woman and ask her whether she was married. She replied that she'd been a widow for 8 years. He then asked her what her husband's first name was, and she said, "Sonny." The couple could only look at each other aghast, and then asked the woman whether she was able to accompany them to their hotel room after the seminar, as they had something important they wanted to discuss with her. After the woman arrived at the hotel and came to their room, they told her that they have a son who claimed that he'd been married to a woman called Dawn Rae from Texas in a previous life. To seek further confirmation, they then asked whether she owns or had owned a white spaniel. Dawn Rae said, "Oh yes, that was Willie," and he and Sonny were virtually inseparable. After hearing the amazing story that the couple had just told her, she was determined to meet Michael, so the couple arranged for the 7-year-old son to fly down to Texas to meet up with the woman. When they called their son, they did not tell him why they wanted him to come down to join them. 2 days later, Michael arrived at the airport and after collecting him, took him directly to Dawn Rae's house. When they arrived at the house and the woman opened the door, Michael excitedly called out, "Dawn!" and stretched out his hands and ran into the arms of a bewildered-looking Mrs. Rae. He then hugged her and gave her a big kiss on the cheek. After the initial shock and introduction, everyone made their way into the living room. Mrs. Rae could not quite believe what had just happened and was initially sceptical. She then asked Michael whether he was familiar with the house they were now in, but Michael said he did not recognise it. But it was not surprising that he didn't recognise the house because she only moved into the house after the death of her husband Sonny. Michael then asked her whether she had kept his guitar, and after a look of astonishment went to the cupboard and took out the guitar, which she then placed into the outstretched arms of the young boy. Michael then held the guitar in a way that showed he was familiar with the instrument. More surprises were in store, when even though the fretboard was a bit too large for Michael to hold properly, he was still able to strum and sing a well-known folk song, which amazed his parents, because he'd never ever played the guitar in his life, and how did he know what to do, and how did he know the old folk tune? Instead of Mrs. Rae, he was now addressing her as Dawn. He then asked her whether she'd kept his watch. Mrs. Rae then left the room and returned with a box that contained the watch. When he opened the box, he found a Rolex watch that was identical to the one that his father was wearing. Michael then asked for his camera, but first they asked their son to describe the camera. After describing the camera, Mrs. Rae again left the room and came back with a camera that perfectly matched Michael's description. Michael then inquired about his pipe, which he again was able to perfectly describe. Later, in an even stranger twist of events, Dawn Rae sold a house in Texas and moved in with a family in California. She would babysit Michael whenever his parents were travelling, which was quite often. When Michael was 14, Dawn Rae moved to New York, but Michael missed her so much that his parents allowed him to live with her in New York, and they still lived together. This is a very strange incident, and you have to question the reasoning behind reincarnation. My personal belief in reincarnation is that with every incarnation that you have, I presume you also progress as a spirit. But what progress did Michael's spirit learn in his new life when all he did was return to his previous life and continue where he left off, living with the same woman he'd left after he died and was reincarnated?
Any relation, Linda Rae?
Ha 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 ha. Ray's my middle name, darling man. Yes. You know, when I first came out of the closet as a psychic, okay, we're going back about 8-10 years ago, I was still involved with legal matters at that point due to my last employment with the police, okay? So I had an issue with using my own surname because I didn't want to be associated to the person who was in that world of hurt because of that last employment. So I called myself Linda Rae as a ray of sunshine. My middle name is Rae, okay? So it wasn't, I ended up getting my website because I've had my website now for about 6 years, lindarae.info. And it was only about 3 years ago that I thought, stuff this, I've got my PhD now. I don't want to be Dr. Linda Rae. I'm going to use my real name because I'm over all that pain and hurt that I was caused during my last, because then, hello, I'm honest with people, Mike. I got PTSD from my last job, chronic PTSD. Some nights for me are very unbearable, you know, but it's how we manage and cope through it and keep reminding ourselves that we are great and amazing people. So, yeah, anyway, back to this video. Linda Rae, ha, 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 no relation at all. But what an amazing synchronicity was related to Sonny Rae. Oh, goosebump time. You know, these kids, you know, it'd be so, I always think, what would the parents feel? You know, if I had a child, just say I had a son, and he came to me and said, "You're not my mother," it would really hurt, you know, because your control would want to come in, your ego, and say, "Shut up talking about that stuff. I'm your mother." But we've got to let go of our own ego and say, this is a child who obviously has had things out of our control occur to them in other lives that we must investigate to verify if it's authentic, you know, and also to document just in case this child does forget about it in their future, which most of them do. So for the parents who actually do investigate and they take their child on these little amazing journeys of self-discovery of who they used to be in their previous existences, what an amazing philosophy of those parents, you know, because they're the ones that I give the gratification to, because, you know, it's that they're understanding that their little babies have their own entity, you know? Wow. You know, we live in a world now with all these, what do we call it? My body, my choice situations occurring. I firmly believe these kids that are born with whatever they memories from past lives, wow, every single one of them is a testament to the proof that this exists. I mean, and we can't deny this one. We really can't.
I mean, he does bring up a good point. What has this kid learnt from his reincarnation if he slips back into the old pattern? I tell you, this can be best explained when we come to it in the next clip, which is about a pre-birth memory. You know, could it be that in this case with this kid that the trap door never closed and so the memory stayed open for whatever reason?
True.
You know, could it be that there is something that he has to do in the future that involves him memorizing his past? There's a lot of, you know, when we work with the spirit world, it isn't like it is on the earth plane, you know, pretty much black or white, or you wake up in the morning, you eat, you have breakfast, go to work, etc., etc. There are as what's his name said, there are known knowns, and there are things we know we don't know, and there are things we know that we know we know. You know, whoever that schmuck was that said that.
Whoa, whoever that schmuck was.
Yeah.
Well, can I just go there,
Yeah.
Mike? There is a question that I have about this video before we go on to the next one. What the heck was that seminar about?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because they went to that seminar where they met the other Ray.
Yeah.
I want to know what that was,
Yeah.
because that was the synchronicity to get them together.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
it'd be so nice.
there was actually a purpose, and therefore we can conclude there is a purpose for him to remember all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I just love it. I love these synchronicities. It gives me the goosebumps. It really does.
Okay.
All right, so where are we going to next, huh?
Let's go with the pre-birth memory, because it might help people understand a little bit more about this reincarnation story. So
Yes.
this lady is a little bit hectic in her explanation, but hey, she gives a good account of what's going on. Here we go.
So I was getting ready to come down to Earth again. And I was really enthusiastic about it. I was so excited about it because, I was like, this time it's going to be fun and I'm going to do cool stuff. And I was like, I just couldn't wait to be born. But I was with this group of others who were also coming to be born. And I was definitely the most excited of everyone. Some of them were like really, really scared. Some of them were like dark and didn't want to go at all. And like they were frustrated about it. And some of them were just kind of like, okay, here we go. But not like me, man. I was like jumping up and down, and I was flying up in the trees, and I was supposed to be like staying with the group because we were going to like some, I don't know if it was like a processing center area or something like that. Okay, we were getting ready to go through like the process right before coming down to Earth, okay? And I was supposed to be with this group, but I was just like out of my mind joyful. And and we had like guides that were with us that were supposed to be like keeping track of us, and suddenly one of them come up to me and was like, they want to talk to you. And I was like, really? They want to talk to me? Like, specifically, individually, me? Like, really? Okay. And so we went to this place, and it's not like time the way it is here. It was like we went and I waited till it was my turn, and then I went into this room, and there was like, they I don't know, I always called them they, which is why it really freaked me out when I heard Dolores Cannon and she was talking about them. And like, okay, because it's like, I always thought all my life, I was like, is it God? Because it wasn't a he or a she, it was more like a them. So I was in this room and they were arrayed before me, above me, like I had to look up at them like this. And when they spoke, it was with one voice. And they were concerned. They were like, you need to take this more seriously. They were like, this could go very badly for you. And I was like, but it's gonna go so well like the good that I can do is just infinite, and I can't even believe this opportunity I'm being given to do so much good in this world. I was so excited, and they were like, okay, but it could also go really bad. They were like, and they explained some reasons why I can't specifically remember. And I was like, but you'll be there with me the whole time. And they were like, yeah, but it won't really be like that. You won't, it's not going to be quite like we're there with you, I can't put it into words the way that they were reasoning with me. And I was like, fuck, I didn't come up with this. This was your idea. I just agreed to it, So that's why sometimes people say that like volunteers that came to Earth that we like, or like, I guess I'm one of those because I apparently, I was in agreement. I agreed that I was going to come. It wasn't like somebody was forcing me. And others that were in the group when I was coming down, the others that were in the group, they weren't coming by choice. Some of them were being forced to, and those ones were like really agitated by my joy. And that's kind of, I think, why they separated me, because I was stressing people out. So sometimes I've heard stories of like that, oh, we chose our eye color and we chose our race and we chose our families and yada, yada, yada. And it wasn't like that for me. because I feel like that they had a specific course. It's kind of like when a director has a script written, and they say, you know, like they need people to fulfill each role. So like I volunteered to fulfill this particular role and to meet certain requirements that were needed to be met, and you know, to do certain things that needed to be done. Like they had to have someone come and be me. And I agreed. I said, yes, I'll do that. And so like when I'm in front of them, I'm in this room and I'm in front of them and I'm like, I didn't freaking, I'm trying not to swear in this video. Like, I didn't make this up. I didn't say I wanted to face these challenges. You offered this to me and I just said, yes, I'll do it. And I was like, and that was when I said, and you'll be there with me the whole time. And when I said that, when I said, you'll be there with me the whole time, that was when they were like, okay. And then they like decided they were going to have a separate conversation away from me. That all of a sudden that they were like, the guide was like, it's time to go. And I was like, what are we? And they were like, you're going. And I was like, I'm going? Okay. And then I just went. and the thing is that I never went back to the processing place. Like, I never went back to like, I think that's why but I mean, now after the fact that I've thought about it a lot, and after knowing about Dolores Cannon and what she said, I came to this conclusion, and after that I stopped listening to her because I don't want to come to any more conclusions from the things she says. But my conclusion is that because I didn't go through the normal processing, that's why I remember that.
So there you are. I think that's a key thing, because she didn't go through the normal processing. We could say that the trapdoor was left open, and that's why she has these long-term memories. She's still very excited about it when she...
God, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? You know, obviously some people remember a lot more than others. You know, some of us have to go to life past regressions to get it. Other people just have to close their eyes and they're taken back. So we all have different levels of that conscious connection to our past. Or should I say the different layers of our consciousness that goes into those events. But for her to remember all that, that's just absolutely gorgeous. I only actually wrote down one word, Mike.
Right.
Them.
There.
When she's talking about them.
Yeah.
Because that's who I call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call them. I call these ones them.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me just make sure I'm on the screen so I can see that I've got it here for us. Them. These three.
Yeah.
Who are they? I called them them. You know, the big three, them. I even call her, because we don't know a name for these entities. And that's okay. It's the fact that we respect them and we still love and adore them, even though we are petrified out of our wits because we're not used to experiencing them.
Right.
That they know that we know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And that's all that really matters. You know? It's amazing.
Wasn't there a TV series called Them or something like that?
I think there was.
Something like that, wasn't there? Yeah. I kind of missed it, but I saw one or two of them.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, darling. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, as long as we've got to decipher, because some of these entities aren't not nice, you know?
Yeah.
So as long as we think, is this in my best and higher good? The voices that I hear, are they trying to help me? Or are they trying to deter me and turn me into something that's not the best version of myself?
Right.
And if it's not, you can tell it to nick off.
Yeah.
Because these guys, especially the one that I've got around me, she is always with me. And everything she says to me has always been proven correct.
Right.
And it's always worked out. So I don't have any doubt in my mind about how much I trust her.
Right.
You know, we were talking off air before about something that just happened to me today with a certain email, right? I had a friend over last night and we were doing this singing bowl thing on each other. And I actually heard her say, "You're going to like it." now I understand what she was talking about, because that's a private thing between you and me, Mike.
Right.
But something. So, guys, to keep you in the loop, I just did receive some good news about things this week. So that's one reason why I'm going to go get a new phone. I can do that this week now. But I heard her say just hours before this all happened, "You're gonna like it," because I have to trust it.
Yeah.
I have to trust it.
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 And it's when we trust it, and then we generate that into an energy field, because we are generators, like the Matrix.
Yeah.
So we generate this energy, and we give it to others through our kindness, generosity, and love of others.
Yeah.
That's when it creates more good things happening for ourselves as well. But we don't do it just for that end game of the reward. Oh no. You got to do it without expectation expectation or ego.
Yeah.
So that's how it works, and
Yeah.
it works well.
Yeah.
I can go and get a new phone next week, and I'm so excited. Wow.
Well, I need
So
a new
excited.
phone just while we're talking about it, because I've downloaded all these apps for the Healy, and I'm just thinking I'm either going to use my tablet, take everything off of it and just put the apps on for the Healy, or I need to get a new phone. I want it separate from the phone. But there you are, that's a side issue. Linda, time's marching on. We got our last story. This is Mary's NDE story. And
we've still got to show Carla.
yeah, we're going to show Georgie Boy. So don't hang up, because I never put the George Carling clip in the show titles in case we didn't have time. But
let's just go there anyway. If you've got time, I'm assuming here. Yeah. But if you can show it, I'd love you to, because I loved it.
Yeah, So, because it's quite important, because this story of Mary's NDE, as you will see, is a good Catholic girl, and she wonders how she ended up where she ended up with the thoughts she's ended up, and George Carlin actually explains why. So let's run this. Let's run Mary's NDE and see what comes of this.
Doctor came in and said, "I'm going to give you something called white amnesia, and that's going to cause you to completely forget or not be able to remember anything that will happen to you in this coma while we're doing all these terrible experimental things to you. You'll thank me for it." So I had no choice. I said goodbye to my parents and my daughter and family, and I prepared to just go to sleep. Well, that's not what happened. I don't know when in this 3-week period. It might have been when they told my family that I was not going to make it and they needed to say their goodbyes. I really don't know. But in a drug-induced coma, your spirit can wander. And all of a sudden, I woke up. I became conscious, and it was completely dark. There wasn't a sound. I had no reference as to whether I was sitting or standing. I thought somebody was playing a trick on me and stuck me in a closet. So I just waited. But all of a sudden, there seemed to be a reddish glow in front of me, and it was getting just a little bit lighter. And I thought, good, the sun's coming up. Okay, now I can see where I am and what's going on. But as it got lighter, it became very foggy and swirling around. I couldn't see through it. It became uncomfortably warm. I smelled something terrible. And then I started hearing shriekings and moaning coming out of this fog. I said to myself, this can't be good. Then, all of a sudden, out of this fog came this booming voice that said, "Do you know where you are?" And I said, "I hope I'm wrong, but hell?" And the voice boomed back with this maniacal laugh. I was freaked. I didn't care what happened to me. I had to get away from that thing. I gathered what was left of my ripped clothing, and I stood up. And by then, I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get out of here or not. Along the way, the demons had said, just despair, just give up. You'll never get out. I followed this lady to another group, and this was women like myself who had obviously been through what I had. They had tattered clothing on. Their eyes were down. They were weeping. I got in line, and she took us to the edge of the forest, and before us was a tundra, ice and snow on the ground, no trees, as far as you could see. She told us to get in line and follow her. And so we did, one by one, as it started to snow. I thought, wow, how can this get any worse, But it did. And we walked and walked until that snow was chest high. And the expression cold as hell is real. We were freezing. And as we finally got to this cabin, she opened the door and shoveled us all inside and made us sit down on the floor. And I said to her, I've been here a long time, and it just seems to be a particularly depressing, bad energy time. Something I don't know about? And she says, well, it's Christmas on Earth, and that's always the worst day in hell. I thought, hell? I mean, I had been pushing that thought out of my mind, but to hear her say it, I was the last straw, but I wasn't giving up. I just started singing a Christmas carol, my favorite one, Away in a Manger. I thought, what else can they do to me? I mean, really. So as I started singing Away in a Manger, a crib for his bed, she whirled around and she yelled, shut up, lifted a stick that she had been carrying. The other ladies kind of looked at me, and I kept going. The little Lord, and as I got to that part, me and the ladies were singing together, she leapt at me like a spider, and I closed my eyes, and it went dark. And the light came up, but this time I was infused with his tremendous love and joy and bliss. I couldn't believe it. I felt like every molecule of me was just swimming in this ocean of love, completely saturating me. I was so happy and joyful, and everything that had happened, I couldn't remember. There was nothing but the love. And then as I kind of looked around, seemed like this white light was kind of turning into a cathedral or someplace with white granite walls. And as I looked over, straight ahead, there was my friend, the one that had died only a month before. And he looked great. Last time I'd seen him, of course, with the leukemia, his face was all mottled. He'd lost all his hair. His eye was all swollen with infection, but he looked wonderful. And instead of 53, he looked about 35. He had on the sweater I gave him for Christmas. He was so happy to see me. He was just skipping from one foot to the next, and like he really had a lot of things he wanted to tell me, and I was just shocked. But I was so happy. And I thought, oops, he doesn't know he's dead. And I just thought that. But by the way he was laughing, I thought, oh my goodness, he heard me. And if he's dead, then I'm dead. I was so excited. This must be heaven. And I said to him, why are you standing in front of that doorway? And I saw a table over to one side with a great big book on it it was open about halfway. And I thought, he was showing me something in that book. What was it? But he started walking toward me, and I was excited. And he said, now, Mary Kay, you've got too much left to do. What? I said, no, they were throwing me out. And I said, no. And he just smiled, and boom, I was gone. But this time, it was like in a meadow, and there was a stream. And I figured later on, when I'd had time to think about this whole thing, God was probably giving me a timeout because I was angry and he wasn't going to send me back in that condition. So I walked along this stream, which was going downhill. And it was lovely. And I met this lady there, and she spoke a language I didn't really understand. It sounded Scandinavian, but she gave me this beautiful handmade quilt, small one. And I said, thanks, and she motioned, still talking in some language, to go down further down the stream. So I put the quilt over my shoulder and walked down the stream. It really was lovely. Another lady was there. She was sitting in a rocking chair. And she waved and I waved, and she starts talking in this language, and she hands me, these were like trousseau items, that you would get when you're going to become a bride. And she gave me a little nighty thing with lace on it. And I thought, oh, thanks. Threw it over my shoulder, kept walking. The final lady gave me another pretty lacy gift, and then a piece of paper that she said in English, be sure and give this to my boyfriend's name. And tell him you must live together. And I thought, can this get any weirder? Sure. So I took that piece of paper in my hand. And then boom, it went dark. And oh yeah, the lights came up, and they were way too bright. And there were all these people milling around. And I thought, oh no, the zombie people are back. But then one of them said, oh, Mom's awake. The other one says, oh my gosh, she's back. And I thought, who are these people and what's going on? Why can't I move? Why can't I talk? And they gathered all around me and said, now, Mom, My daughter says, "You've been really, really sick. We didn't think you were going to make it, but you're back." And we prayed. Oh, we had a prayer chain going around the world. And I thought, oh, you terrible people. Is this the reason I got thrown out of heaven?
And in that interview, Linda, it's
Yeah.
about a 30-minute interview, and she talks about how did I end up in hell? She said, a good Catholic girl like me. And, you know, I understand it, because I grew
Yeah.
up, and as George Carling is going to explain here in his very funny way, I grew up with Catholicism of brimstone and fire, hell and damnation. And if you've got that drummed into you all your life, I went to a school that was a junior school that was predominantly Irish, and the Irish priests were all da 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 da. And then, so on a Sunday, I went to the church with my mum and dad at the Italian church, and the priests were all da 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 da. So, you know, I grew up with this, you know, hell and damnation, and God watches every single thing you do. Da, da. So I'm not surprised if she didn't get rid of that trauma throughout her life, how she initially ended up where she ended up.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
my take on
You
it.
know, I've been doing a bit of research into hell lately. Not because I'm the one going there, okay? Oh boy. But I have been looking at like hell stories where people have experienced it. And my belief, I did a video probably a year ago or 8 months ago on my own YouTube channel where I was talking about what I believe hell was. And the more I think about it with all these other experiences now that I'm learning, the more what I said a year ago is now making even more sense, you know. So someone's actually just emailed me tonight, because I've just checked my email in that story because we have watched this previously. But someone's just emailed me with this long question, so I've been writing it down, talking about hell. So I'm going to do a video tomorrow about this because it'll be an update to what I did like 8 months ago. And my belief, still the same belief, is that we create hell based on our own grudges, issues, and unhealed emotions or karma that we have extended towards others, okay? I don't have to heal what Adolf Hitler did back in 1940s. What I do have to heal, though, is why I get so energetically connected to not liking him as a result of what I've heard about him. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
And if I don't heal those sort of grudges that we can get on people and things and issues in our own lives, we can create that hell experience. And, you know, you look at someone like her, brought up in a very religious environment.
Absolutely, yeah.
How many issues or personal crucifixions do they put on their own heads, you know, of judgment? Judgment is a very negative thing to do for anybody. You know, that's why even when I stood in front of these three, I knew they were not judging me.
No.
The only person I had to judge was myself for doing the things I did. So if we start doing that now in this lifetime, and we go through from our day of our birth right through to now as a person, and we say, you know what, I'm going to correct that energy, and I'm going to balance it out to bring in that piece of karma, PEACE, of karma, peace, where there's no more negativity attached to that event, action, or reaction, then that is how we go to heaven. Because heaven does not have any room for grudges, issues, or other negative entities within our energies, within ourselves.
Yeah, so it's elevated awareness, elevated consciousness, which is how we can actually live heaven on earth. But Linda, we're running out of time.
Yeah, get on. We've got to go on. So let's have a look at Carlin and have a look at what he says about it.
Grumpy George, who explains religion perfectly. Here we go.
But in the bullshit department, a businessman can't hold a candle to a clergyman. Because I got to tell you the truth, folks. I got to tell you the truth. When it comes to bullshit, big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe of the all-time champion of false promises and exaggerated claims, religion. No contest. No contest. Religion easily has the greatest bullshit story ever told. Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you. He loves you. He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow, just can't handle money.
I've watched him so many
And then
times.
he still loves you.
Yeah. Well, you know, all joking aside, that is kind of how I was brought up within the Catholic Church when I was 6, 7, 8 years of age. And it takes a lot of confidence and awareness and stepping into your own power to get rid of that. Because, you know, according to the Catholic Church, what I do is sinful. This work that I do is sinful. So, you know, you have to really constantly rise above it all the time. You know,
I should be rotting in hell because I've been married 3 times, because in the eyes of the religion I was brought up with, you don't ever break up with your partner.
Yeah.
You know, you've made your bed, you sleep in it, Linda.
Yeah.
How many times was that drilled into my head?
Yeah.
You know, and oh my God, but if I had allowed that to create within myself this feeling of unwantedness, and if I'd felt within myself that I was not worthy, and because of my religion I was no longer special or wanted or loved, I would go to hell. Because I would go to hell because my brain would create the hell to where I would go.
Yeah. So here's a paradox for you. I am a Catholic, and I married someone who's not a Catholic. Big sin straight away.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
I can't get divorced because as a Catholic I'm not allowed to get a divorce. So even if I legally get a divorce, in the eyes of the church I'm not divorced. Now here's the paradox. My brother married someone who's non-Catholic, but in a Church of England, which is a non-Catholic church. In the eyes of the church, he's not Catholic Church, he's not married, so he can get divorced and get married. I mean, it's just so insane. And the church needs to start stepping up and becoming more spiritual.
Religion is so judgmental.
Oh, yeah.
It makes us judge everything external to us.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, they say the difference between spirituality and religion is religion, God is external, but with spirituality, he's within us. Yeah. But I actually we've got to take it one step further now. The difference between religion and spirituality is religion makes us judge every single thing else around us, whereas spiritually, we should be just allowing them to be who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bingo.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because, you know, one of the first commandments is thou shalt not steal. So now we are accusing anybody who does.
Yeah, the only problem with
Oh, you can't do that. We're offended.
the only problem with
So religion makes us offended.
thou shalt not steal is, I'm sure somewhere in the Bible it says it's okay to steal a loaf of bread if you're starving.
Honey, I know, because I've died and I've been to heaven, they don't give an absolute hoo-ha if you steal a loaf of bread. If you need it for your own survival, there's nothing stealing, because everything in heaven is owned by everybody. How can you steal what you already own?
Sure.
The only reason why we call it stealing on here is because we have ego, where we say, mine, 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 mine. You can't have this, it's mine.
Yeah.
But in spiritualism, everything is everybody's.
Yeah.
Because we take away that possessiveness of ego.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually starting Consciousness Explained now. Man, it's just going deep.
Yeah.
That's why I'm giving out little clues. I said some last week as well, because I'm making these notes of what I've got to put into this book.
Right.
And some people are just going to have a really big wake up call when they realise, oh my God, am I living my life totally wrong? Because when you work out what's really important to us, and we realise who and what is really important to us, man, a lot of stuff in our lives just don't simply matter anymore.
Yeah. And I think also, when you do get older in life, when you reach a certain age in life, some more earlier than others, you really don't give a hoot so much about material things. You don't give a hoot so much about earning as much as you possibly can. You begin to get balance, and you begin to see what really is important in life, which is health, a lovely and loving home, and good friends, and so on and so forth. This all balances out. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
It's all about energy. The whole universe is about energy. And if you're in a non-compliant energy field, you will never be your full capacity.
No.
In an energy field. We're talking science here.
Yeah.
Okay? So when we talk science of energy, if you've got a 24-volt battery in a 12-volt appliance, it will blow up because they're not compliant, right? But if you put a 24-volt into a 24-volt battery into a 24-volt appliance, it will run very smoothly. And this is what we don't understand. There's so many people out there in relationships where they're running on their 24-volt, and they're virtually with somebody who's running at 12-volt battery frequency, or whatever you want to call it, charge, currency, or whatever. It will never work.
No.
And that's why we call it toxicity. It's like a battery that's leaking, or that, if you've ever seen a battery that leaks all that gunk, so that's where we get that toxicity coming in.
Right.
So you've got to find people that are on the same frequency with you, like a 24-volt battery.
Right.
So, once you find them, that's when you're at full capacity.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to blow up. You're actually going to run smoothly, and all your consciousness will then create the reality that you put out and what you want. So, I always say, don't stay in a toxic relationship. It could be, you can have a toxic relationship with your neighbour. Yeah. You don't have to leave the neighbourhood.
No.
You just don't have to put your energy into that neighbour anymore.
Yeah.
And that's how you stop it.
Yeah.
So it's not about leaving your job, leaving your neighbourhood, changing families. It's just changing how you react to the energy that they put forward.
Right.
So that your 12-volt doesn't get affected by their 24-volt energy connection. So, it's interesting. But, it's all, my next book, Consciousness Explained, because it's going to be a doozy. So I want to go deep with what I say.
Right.
You know, so yeah, little drops that I say here, it explains it well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, that's about
We
it,
could
Linda.
go. I actually have to go and get changed. I'm sweating really bad. I've got my. Thank God I went to Vanuatu a few years ago. That's all I'm saying. Thank God I went to Vanuatu because the best thing I bought there was the fan.
Right.
So I've been using that in between the videos again. But everybody, please know that we're still in the silly season. New Year's is a time to go and celebrate and to realise what you do want to take into the next year. So think about your New Year resolutions that you want to take forward. What is it that you don't want to do anymore? What is it that you just want to say, you know what? I'm going to start really doing this now. Because this is a time when we can go and really create the world that we do want. You know, my New Year's resolution, I've been saying it for 6 months, is to get a new phone. And now I've just found myself in a position where next week I can go and get it. What a perfect timing at the end of the year. So I'm starting the new year with a new phone that is going to make my work so much easier for me.
Right.
So we're finding out now ways of, we just trust it.
Yeah.
Put it out there to the universe and make those wishes of what you want. And the universe does answer them, for what we need, not what we want.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So from Brisbane, Australia, where it's, 23 Celsius at 8:30 in the 8:16 p.m. 23 tonight. That's our low for the night, 23 Celsius.
Right.
Yeah, the AC's already on. Don't we go sleep with the AC on again tonight? You probably got snow over there, have you?
No, it's all snow's all melted at this part of town. All the snow's down in Salzburg that way. So we're all dry again. So I can walk through the park, and when I come back, I pick up bits of wood that I leave out to dry, and then I chop up for the fire. We got the wood burning fire, and one of the reasons we got it, apart from the way they're hiking up electricity bills, is because I've got the Vienna woods behind me, and I've got all the free wood that I like. So
that's right.
yeah,
absolutely. So go start hoarding it.
yeah. I collect a little
Storing
bit
it
every day I collect a bit every day. I've got enough for a year. I just collect a bit more, and I've got space to store it. So, Linda, I've got to go. I've got to see what's happened to my Healy. I've got to get my Healy.
Okie dokie. Yep. And, guys, we'll be here next Wednesday, and I'm going to be live on Sunday morning, which is New Year's Day. I'll be here nice and early. So, I'll be on my own channel doing a live messages to everybody there. So if you don't hear from us until next Wednesday, hopefully you all have a great, happy New Year. Stay safe. Remember, there's some idiots out there. Don't have to get involved if we don't want to, right? Just look after yourself as number one. That's the message coming up, okay? So I'll talk to you all soon. So thank you so much for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.